So tonight I want to talk to you about something that I get asked all the time in private coaching sessions. Oops, did it just go live? All right, I think we're good. I want to tell you something I get asked all the time. One of the most common questions that trauma mamas ask is, how do I talk to my kids about body safety from a young age, or catch up with it if I didn't start super young, but at least starting now? What do I say to help start those conversations about body safety so that my kids feel that they can talk to me about anything, and so that I know that I've given my kids a good ground for telling me if they're ever touched wrongly? Well, see, big part of the challenge that we have is that very often materials that we've traditionally had available is stuff like, oh, well, if someone touches you in a bad place, you're supposed to scream and run away and like yell and tell kind of things. And often, I mean, just let's be honest, quite often you're going to get material that is focused, at least in the past it always was, focused on stranger danger, right? You're going to get material that is talking about how you're not supposed to go and do the guy with the candy in the car or whatever. Well, that doesn't do the right job. Because honestly, you and I both know. Hold on a second. Can you shut the door, please?
It needs the remote. It says I'm still watching.
Sorry, I'm on a live video. Can you shut the door, please? No, you can't.
Please?
No. Go on. So, nothing like a momentary interruption live from mom life. All right, so back to where was I? Somebody help me. Where was I? Let's see. Yeah. Thank you guys for the help. So, yes, stranger danger, not a thing. I mean, sure, there's that tiny fraction of a percentage of harm that happens, and it was a stranger. It was the guy in the sketchy van, or the woman in the ice cream truck, or some random person who snatched a kid out of the playground. Yes, it happens, but that's not the most common source of sexual abuse or trauma for children. 93% of the time, it's someone they know and trust. That means it's the favorite uncle they all crawl up on his lap at family reunions or Saturday night movie night. It means it's the friends that they play with, or the older teenage kid next door, and I'm not saying these things because we should just go live in extreme fear and paranoia. I'm saying that we have to get our information right. We can't keep teaching children to just be scared of strangers, but to blindly trust people that happen to be in our circle of social connection. So, what I want to do is give you 5 ways that you can connect with your kids about this topic. And I'm talking about from like age 1 on up. These are not hypersexualized discussions. They don't have to be. They don't have to be super awkward and uncomfortable. These are things that you simply build right into your daily information. Thank you guys. I just finally saw my comments here. The family and friend ick factor. I know, right? Urgh. If only it wasn't that. All right. So, 5 ways that you can bring this kind of conversation up without diving into age inappropriate sexuality or making it so completely awkward. First is just the swimsuit zone. Number one, swimsuit zone. That means you can tell your child that everything under their swimsuit, whatever swimsuit they're wearing, if it's under their swimsuit, it's special and private. And nobody else should be touching them under their swimsuit area. Anything covered by a swimsuit is theirs alone. You, as mommy, will only touch it if you need to help them with a medical issue or you need to help them with a cleaning issue. That means you might have to help them as they're learning how to bathe themselves, and you might have to help them if they're still in diapers or they need toilet hygiene. If there's a medical issue or a pain issue, you will take them to a trusted doctor, and together, you and the doctor will help make sure they feel safe while their medical issue is figured out. But other than that, medical issue, hygiene issue, nobody gets to touch under your swimsuit area. That's private. Those are your private areas. And the flip side is nobody should be showing you anything under their swimsuit area, because that's their private areas. No touching, no showing under the swimsuit. That's something even a toddler can grasp. 2, clinical medical terms. Now, I know, oh my goodness, I know that this can be really hard. And if you have children who have no filter, like mine, dear Lord, sometimes when you go ahead and you teach them clinical, anatomically correct terms, it can get really fun, embarrassing maybe, at least for the other people around you. When your little one starts shouting out, penis, or your little girl comes running up and says, my vulva hurts, or that poked me in the vagina, or whatever, but here's the thing. If your child can learn elbow, wrist, finger, fingertips, fingernails, palm, thumb, pinky finger, ears, eyes, nose, lips, teeth, they can learn penis, vagina, and anus too. They can learn the clinical medical terms. Should I put a trigger warning on this for people who can't handle clinical medical terms for genitalia? Maybe I should. So here's why that's so important. Okay. Might be an urban legend, but I've heard many, many stories very similar to it. Little girl comes home and tells her that during time at so-and-so's house, so-and-so's grandpa ate her cookies. Well, she's super upset about grandpa eating her cookies. Mom is like, you should share your cookies. Oh my word, don't be so upset. And this goes on, and sometime later, Mom is giving the little girl a bath, and she says, ouch, my cookie hurts. And Mom says, what are you talking about? And the little girl points to her genitals. And suddenly Mom realizes that her daughter's been trying to tell her something incredibly uncomfortable, that she's been being sexually assaulted by this other person, but because he had taught her to call it her cookie, no one knew that she was actually talking about genitalia. Now, it's important to use these terms because if children ever are touched or harmed, or someone else shows them their privates, children need to be able to clearly and precisely explain and define what happened and what they saw. That does not mean that we judge someone who wasn't able to do that. It just means that if you teach your children what the right names and terms are for private parts of the body, you are giving them an empowering tool. Also, teaching correct clinical medical terms takes away the sense of shame and otherness that comes with using real terms for every other part of the body and then funny nicknames for private parts. That right there says these things are either shameful or we don't talk about them. We can't call them by their real names, but we call everything else by its real name. So when we remove that barrier, we're telling our children there is nothing shameful or hidden about the fact that we have private areas. And that lays a foundation for much more conversation later on that is shame-free Even if you are teaching abstinence before marriage, even if you are teaching all kinds of other good, healthy things, you're not going to make your children more likely to have indiscriminate promiscuous sex by teaching them genital terms that are clinical and medical. You're actually empowering them. Number 3, showering and potty skills. Now, if you are at home with your children all the time and they regularly have safe mom help for bath time or shower time or scrubbing their long hair or wiping or whatever it is that is basic hygiene, that's fine. You're helping them. You're being there as a mother should. But let's just say you're going through a difficult separation and you realize that looming on the horizon, your children may have to have visitation with someone else. And your ex or soon to be ex may have other people in the house. They may be addicted to porn or have some sketchy situations themselves, and they may not be people that you would now want to trust alone with your children in a toilet or a bathtub. And I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I hear we have over 6,000 women in our support groups. This is a common theme. So if that is on the horizon in any way, if your children are going to be away from you in any way, teach them early, teach them young how to care for themselves, at least at a baseline level until they can get back to you if they're going to have to be gone over the weekend, so that they can toilet themselves as much as possible. If they're old enough to handle it at all, start giving them those skills earlier and sooner than you might normally if you were not going to have them be away from you. Showering, hygiene, washing themselves clean, doing their own hair and shampoo and these kind of things. Make sure that they are capable of doing that to reduce the amount of time that they may spend with someone else trying to help them when they are in that vulnerable state at the toilet or the shower or the bath. Number 4, consent games. Now you think, I don't want to be teaching my 3-year-old about sexual consent. You don't have to teach them about sexual consent, but you certainly can teach them about consent as a concept in general. The fact that boundaries and saying no should be respected, that they should respect other people's boundaries, and they should be able to assume and expect that other people will respect and honor their body boundaries. That way, whenever they experience, because in this world, at some point they will, whenever they experience someone transgressing their boundaries, someone blowing past their no, don't touch me, I don't like that, it will be bizarre and odd and something they would tell you about, because they are so accustomed and having been taught that saying no about my body is absolutely something to be respected and honored by anyone else around me. So instead of conditioning them to allow their body autonomy to be violated by like forcing them to hug people, forcing them to sit on someone's lap, forcing them to do this or that, instead teach them that they can be firm and kind and polite and respectful and have absolutely wonderful manners without letting someone violate their sense of safety and their body autonomy. Here's some ways to do that. You may teach your children to shake hands. You may teach them to shake hands well. I know that's something I did with my kids very young, and they could walk up and look someone in the eye and stick out their hand and shake a firm handshake. I love that they were able to do that. But guess what? If someone tried to say, oh no, you have to give me a hug, they knew it was okay to say, how about a high five instead? Or I'm not really comfortable with a hug. How about a fist bump? Or I'd prefer to just shake your hand, thank you. See, all of those are perfectly acceptable, respectful, and even in the South, you can say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, if you'd like, but you can still say no, thank you. I don't want to be hugged. No, thank you. I'd rather not sit in your lap. No, thank you. I'd like not to sit so close, please. All of these things can be done without violating someone else's good manners or bodily autonomy. Another really great game that is a consent game that you can play, even with just right down to infancy. And that is whenever you're roughhousing or tickling. Some people don't like tickling at all. I respect that too. But let's just say that you play tickling, roughhousing, wrestling kind of games with your kid. Or even just like I'm going to bite your chicken leg kind of thing, like, kissing, blowing raspberries on their belly, whatever fun things that you do that your child loves. And they're lying there, loving it. But one of the games you can play that teaches bodily autonomy and consent is when you are doing these things, let them say no. And as soon as they say no, you pull back and put your hands up until they say, again, mommy! And then you come back. And when they say no, all done. You go up and make it big and dramatized. It's obvious you are respecting what they just said. And then they say, more, mommy! And you come back. You can teach conditioning toward the expectation of consent and respect for bodily autonomy in simplest games. The most simple things. Simply by how you interact with your kids. Fifth and last for today, because we are at 15 minutes already. Fifth and last, tricky people. Skip that stranger danger thing. Instead, use the term tricky people, or whatever you come up with that you might like better. That's fine. Tricky people is a term that helps your children recognize and understand that sometimes people say things and they mean something else. Now, especially if you have children on the autism spectrum or neurodivergent children or children for whatever reason who really struggle with social cues. Been there, raising two of them, kind of one myself. It's really important to go overboard with teaching this. Guess what? You can ruin every single movie or TV show you ever watch with your kids by talking about this all the time. Finding Nemo. Remember when the shark is like smiling really big and saying, come join us for dinner. And then all of a sudden Nemo realizes, oh, I don't think that's actually what he meant. He wants me for dinner. That's tricky people. He was being tricky. He said one thing, but he actually meant something harmful. You can find examples like this in every cartoon, most television shows, even the most innocent Little House on the Prairie level TV programs or music radio, whatever it is, books that you read out loud with your child. Anytime someone is being deceptive, sly, cunning, manipulative, deceitful on any level, call it by name. Talk to your children about what's happening in the story. Ask them to come and tell you if they ever see people acting like that in real life, at church, at school, on the playground, in the classroom, in their summer camp, wherever. Help them recognize tricky people traits. Teach them words like gaslighting. It'd be really funny when you see one kid grab the other kid's toy and then say, no, I didn't touch it. And your 4-year-old turns around and goes, stop gaslighting me. I saw you. Yeah. And every now and then it will get turned back onto you because kids lack the emotional maturity sometimes to know when and how and where to apply these terms. But that's part of parenting the world changers that are in your home. And that's okay. You'll live, I promise. I'm living proof. Give them the tools. Give them the words. You don't have to name or shame people that have been harmful in your immediate family. You don't have to trash talk dad. You don't have to trash talk grandma. You don't have to talk about the cousin or the other persons that have caused you harm. Teach them how to recognize tricky people. Use media and real life situations that are not related to people you're in court with around you. And as they grow, they will be able to recognize it more and more on their own. You will be equipping and empowering them to live a safer, more educated life than you were given the tools for. The stuff you had to figure out in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s. You're giving them the tools from a very young age. They're still going to need them because there's still tricky people out there. So don't tell them to avoid Uncle So-and-so. Tell them, to teach them to know how to recognize harmful behavior anywhere. And you'll be empowering them for life. Okay, 20 minutes. That's my 5 practical tips for prepping kids for body safety. Give me a comment. Definitely check the link that I've got at the bottom of the video. TraumaMAMAs.app/get. This is where we have our sisterhood community. And if you are going through anything that makes you need this conversation today, you need to be in our TraumaMAMAs app. It is incredible. Monthly group coaching, live question and answer sessions, monthly toolkits, trauma tools to help your little ones with anxiety and behavior and management and self-regulation and nervous system regulation, stuff for you, expert interviews with some of the most incredible leading experts in the world on family court and coercive control and safety and all kinds of things, plus a completely social media free support community right on our app. Definitely check it out, TraumaMAMAs.app/get, and join me over in the sisterhood community. Now, have a wonderful evening.